board. And
it's all good.
Yeah. Karen is dropping out of the project. She just said her transition up to the Seattle area has just been brutal, and she just can't handle another thing. So
good self-care.
Yeah, I agree. And Megan,
still a bummer.
Megan's having network problems this morning. I haven't heard from anyone else that said they could or could not be here. So
we're just waiting.
Jen, you're going to have to carry a big load, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, yeah, my internet yesterday and today has been off, and so if I popped off, I at least have Miranda on the phone. She can plug me in, but I'm so far so good. So far so good.
Yay! We were talking about self-care. We have a lot of new teachers in Newburgh right now, and one of them is he just finished at Fox with his teaching degree, and he's getting his special ed endorsement. And I have with all the new people, I have a 15-minute morning Thursday meeting where I can see everybody. I'm like, I just need to see everybody's face. We're going to talk about whatever it is. We can fix some of these, the quick problems, like the copier's there. Oh no, you just double click on there. Those like quick problems. And he had just done this observation, and he's doing great. He's the most sincere. He's great. But his oh gosh, and I can't remember how he phrased it, but basically his person had said, okay, don't forget, you need to have some self-care. And I started laughing. I'm like, it's like, here's your self-care, but also here's your 10 assignments. Could you get those done and still teach? It'll be great.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I was like, oh, so I love when people do that. It's like your first year teaching, your first endorsement, you're still finishing up this and you're teaching our special ed support classes. But let me help you with some self-care. Here's your coffee. Keep grading.
Well, there's Miranda.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Miranda.
So having our two teacher educators here first is good. I wanted to put in a plug for this ICCTE conference, and I sent a long message, I think yesterday, that had the request for proposals there. And I want to say, even if you can't get there, somebody of our group will be there, and if it's only me, I will be there. But we need to do a proposal for this conference. There's lots of room, and so I think no matter what else we do with interviews or other work, capturing the work that both of you are doing, actually now that Alice is here, all three of you are doing with possibly or using game-based methodology, I think we have an opportunity to share that at the conference. So I'm going to suggest that we do that, even if you're not able to be there. I can make the presentation for you, but it would be good to get your name on a presentation, even if you can't be there. So I won't say anything more about that now. We have Sherry here, who's agreed to help with the interview project, and she did this a couple of years ago, and of course did her dissertation as well, and hopefully is a little more wiser and experienced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and can be helpful. So thanks for joining us, Sherry. And Danielle said she was going to try as well, so we'll see if she comes in. Karen won't be here today. Megan's having trouble getting in. That leaves Eric, and Jessica was also feeling kind of ill. She's going to try to make it. Who am I forgetting? Maybe that's it. Eric, Jessica, Megan, and Karen. And there's Eric. All right. So, good morning. We can't hear you.
Good morning.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Where are you at, Eric?
I'm at a coffee shop.
Ooh,
So I'm gonna be that guy talking in the corner.
Very good.
Let's make Eric laugh really loud. That'll be great.
So do you all know Sherry?
I think I've met. Well, I know Jennifer, Miranda, definitely, and Eric. I think we have met, maybe at Fox. I'm gonna say Yes. I don't know. You have a hat on, and I can't tell.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I think we've crossed paths, I think.
I'm sure we probably have.
Yeah.
Sherry lives in Newburgh and teaches in Dayton, so she's fairly close by. Eric, any updates for us that you want to share, or?
Well, I ended up, I didn't get the Woodburn job, but I have 3 more interviews on Tuesday,
Oh, cool.
all on the same day. So
Wow.
it's the mother load.
What do you teach, Eric?
Well, I've taught language arts, ELD, and then writing. So the jobs are kind of all over the map. One is at Newburgh, middle and high school ELD. The other is with the Higher Education Commission in Salem, working with the Teacher Scholars program. And then the third one is at Chemeketa. They need a kind of a director for their tutoring center. So, and that's actually the one that I'd like to get the most. Doing tutoring writing at Chemeketa. But yeah, all 3 of them look really promising. So I'm gonna have a mega interview day.
And it is, and
Coming
Newburgh
up. Yeah.
And Newburgh is going to have a contract here pretty soon, so that'll be good for you if you're looking there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty good news. I'd sure appreciate an update once you hear more, Eric. I've been praying for you, and I'm pulling for you too, so keep me informed. So I think, Megan, thanks for joining us. And apparently you're taking my advice not to try video to try to keep your bandwidth use down, but
yes, hi everyone. It worked, thankfully.
Okay, good. So I think this is it. Karen has asked to drop out of the program. She wants to kind of be a lurker, but she is just too involved with her move, so she's not going to help. She's going to cheer us on from the sidelines, and Jessica's not feeling well and may or may not be here today. So I think we have our group, and I'll commit to be done by 9 o'clock. Although I'm happy to stay as long as anyone would like to. And Sherry, can you stay till 9, or do you need
to get?
Okay. All right, good. So, hey, Alice, how are you doing? You're in your office?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I was ill last 2 weeks, so I fall behind.
Oh, are you feeling better today?
Yeah, much better now.
Okay, good. Okay. So, I think 3 things on my agenda, and then we'll turn it over to you. The first one is to confirm who's willing to do interviews, get that set up. Sherry's here to advise and to help in any way that she can. I'm not going to volunteer her, but she's agreed to be helpful. So, I think, Sherry, that'll be up to you to decide the extent at which you want to be involved. But I know I appreciate you at least sharing your experience and giving some guidance on that. So, and then the second one is to again, just remind you that about this ICCTE conference coming up next May. I think it's the 18th through the 21st. It's in Mount Vernon, Ohio, which is near Columbus. This is the every other year conference that my professional guild puts on. It's teacher educators at Christian colleges and universities across North America. It's a small conference. It rarely gets over 100 people. If you looked at the call for proposals, there's lots of opportunity there, but if you're interested in working as a group or even a subgroup, we can certainly put in a proposal for that. I don't think we actually have to have a proposal in by the end of October, but that would be wise, and it's not a big lift to get a proposal turned in. It's 500 words or less. So I'm happy to take the lead on that, but I'd sure love to get some of you, even if you're not sure if you can go yet, to be involved with that. And then thirdly, you know, anything we can do to support our colleagues, especially Jen, who's moving forward on her game soon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, next month.
And so getting some commitments or at least interest on that, and then with Miranda and Alice as well on their games would be great. And then other than that, the fourth agenda item is whatever you all want to do. So you want to add anything to the agenda for today, anybody? Okay. Can we look at interviews then? Eric started a list. I had some questions. I think we need to do a little refining. Maybe Sherry can jump in and make some suggestions, but I'm going to do a page break here so this is easier to see. Everyone agreed to be interviewed. There's the whole list. We don't need to decide this today, but what I would like to know, who is willing to interview? And then I think maybe, Sherry, if you're willing, the people who said they're willing to interview is maybe you could just, if you're willing, provide some leadership to that, and I won't worry about it anymore.
Sure.
Okay, so I don't remember, and I can't find it if we wrote it down, who said they could interview.
I can.
Yeah, and I said I could.
Miranda?
Alice.
Okay.
Megan.
Okay. Okay. We could do a couple of things. If we could do some individual interviews, we could also do some focus group, or we could just use Zoom and get 3 or 4 people at a time if you want, and that would be fine with me. The main thing is you just want to record that and get the transcript so it can be analyzed. So I'm open for anything, and again, I'm not going to stand on ceremony and even insist that everyone is interviewed, but if only 3 of you can do interviews, you know, it may be asking a bit much to ask each of you to do 4 interviews, so maybe a group approach might be better.
2 questions for that. I'm thinking we should record every interview, like even on our phone regardless, so that we don't have to try and take best notes, right? And then what kind of time frame are we hoping to have them completed by?
I think we need to have the interviews completed before the end of October.
Okay, because that I think that does give us then a sense of how many we can conceivably get done in the time frame. So
do any of you have access to a platform like Zoom? I mean, in other words, if I removed myself from this altogether, and if you decided, hey, we're going to organize a Zoom and invite 3 or 4 people and interview them and record, Jen, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Then I would say, you know, I think that's just negotiable, and I'm suggesting a focus group can be a great methodology as well in getting people to help one another remember. You know, it's like you ask a question and someone says so-and-so, and then someone says, oh yeah, and I remember such and such. So it can be useful, not just for an efficiency's sake, but also to prompt people's memory. So
okay. Yeah, that's easy to do, and I think it's easy then to collect a common time that we can just spend, you know, 30 minutes or so talking together.
And if you want practice, like let's say Alice is really intent on wanting to do a couple of individual interviews because she just wants to practice in interviewing, then I would say that's great too. And I don't want to close any opportunities off if you're viewing this as a chance to kind of practice. So that's fine as well.
Okay. Once we record, and then what's the next step? So I have a recording of an entire interview. Maybe I did a Zoom with 4 people. How do we turn that into, you know, the transcript or whatever?
I have volunteered, and I stand by my commitment that if I get the audio transcript from anyone of either an individual or group interview, I will send them off to have them turned into a transcript, and I'll pay for that. I use Verbal Link. If you're interested in checking them out, you may want to use them for your dissertation. I don't know if Sherry has used someone else.
I used Go Transcripts, and they're super, super fast. So yeah, it's another option.
These people are very competitive, and they thrive on being accurate and speedy. So, and I thought the price was pretty reasonable too. So
yeah,
you think about having to do it yourself, it's like tedious.
It's awful. Do not do it by yourself.
Yeah, there's no way I could imagine even having the time to consider that at all.
You won't. Not where you're at in your process at Fox. Please just release that. If anybody thinks, oh, this will be great for my resume, do not do it.
Yeah, I could tell a couple of stories. So it seems to me then that between Jen having access to Zoom, Sherry providing some maybe coaching or leadership, we have some draft questions that I think is up to let's say we got Eric added interviews. Okay, so now you got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5 people there between Sherry and the 4 of you to maybe take this project on. And I would just say, unless you want to talk more about it now, just move forward and organize it and do it. And I think the most important thing that I would say is just make sure you're asking the same questions. Now, in a group interview, there's probably going to be extension of those questions, which is great. I mean, if people want to go on about something, let them. It's fine. There's nothing lost here. And I think you want to keep the questions as open-ended and broad as possible. But you may have some specific questions you want to ask as well, and that's fine. So,
Sherry, would you somewhere type in your most convenient email address for us?
Me? Can I get onto this document?
Oh, you might not be. Shared.
I don't think I'm on. Here's the deal. I will send it off. I have a George Fox email as well.
Okay.
So feel free to do that.
I don't add Sherry to this document right now. Sorry, Sherry.
Oh, that's okay. It's all good. While we're doing that, I have a question. Are you guys going to be, do you think you'll be doing most of your interviews over Zoom, or do you think you will be doing some of them in person?
I would like to do some in person because I'm looking at doing that for a dissertation, doing interviews. So I'd like some practice in one-on-one. So I'd like to do a few that are local to me. There's about 3 or 4 people on this list that are local enough for me to meet up with face-to-face. And then it makes sense for everybody who's out of town. We'll just have to Zoom it.
Well, yeah. Obviously there's that. So I want to give you, it looks like this. I don't know if you can see it. I'll send it off to you. Wait, where's my camera? Sorry. It looks like this. It's it's an app for your phone. Oh wait, here we go. And I will tell you, it was way helpful because you just get to keep. I don't know. Can you see that? I don't know if it's going to show you. Sorry.
Kinda, sorta, yeah.
It keeps all of your interviews, and you have your phone with you. I bought a nice little recorder device. Yeah, I never used it. So it was super easy to upload into Go Transcripts or whatever transcript you're going to do, or whatever Scott is going to do. It was infinitely helpful because most of us are pretty adept at using our phones. So I want to put that out there for your interviews. I also would say, I don't know, are we getting into this? Do you want me to give it advice now, or you want me to wait?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would also most definitely, as it is recording, I brought my little books. I have a little yellow one. This is what I used for my dissertation. I brought these out so you guys could take a peek at them. It's huge to have it in one spot where you can find it. And I personally, one of my modes of learning and one of my modes of retaining things is writing things down. It's not even, I don't even do it in a linear fashion. It's just for me. But I will tell you, I went back to my own written notes as well as the transcript multiple times, both for the project that you're talking about here and for my dissertation. It was hugely helpful. And taking advantage of this opportunity is helped me greatly moving forward to figure out what my interview style was, because I'm a pretty chatty Kathy. So trying to help me stay on topic and help to guide me where I was going. So those are the two little snippets of practicality that helped me most going forward in interviewing.
See, I couldn't have said that because, you know, if I would have said that Sherry was a chatty Kathy, she might have slapped me.
I know where you live.
Yeah. Other questions maybe of Sherry right now about interviewing in general about this project? Go ahead. Sherry, I did add you to this document, so you might have got a message in your.
All right, I'll look.
Oh, go ahead, Alice.
Oh, sorry. So just one quick question. So if we do our interview, let's say with Zoom, and we take a video, so that video, the audio on that video is enough for the transcription, or is okay for the transcription? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
These services can transcribe video as well, and they claim it helps with identification and makes it more accurate, but it's not necessary and it costs more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So my question, Sherry, just ending this, because I can always ask you more later, is what have you discovered are the pitfalls of the interviewer as they begin the process of asking questions? And obviously it's about listening more than talking.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me what pitfalls you might have discovered in the interview process as the interviewer.
I think part of it is you really need to, you have this, you're going to have this great list of questions that you're going to ask. The listening is huge because you think you're going to ask question 1 and then question 2 and then question 3. That's not how people talk. You may have somebody explaining your question 1 and realize, oh wait, they're also answering number 6 or number 12. And being cognizant of that as much as you can. Understand if people have been kind enough to be interviewed, they're full of grace. Mm-hmm. So understand you don't need to go into an interview. It's already kind of nerve-wracking to interview people. Most people who have agreed are going to be kind, and they are going to listen. So don't forget to show yourself grace. Know your questions, like I said, because that will help you infinitely to be like, oh, okay, you're talking about this one. So I would put little notes next to mine if they started to answer a question down here, mm-hmm. Or cross that little letter off as you're taking your notes, because that way when you're skimming and asking, you can go back and you're not being repetitive with them.
Right.
That was huge. And I will tell you, part of the things that worked well with being a chatty Kathy is putting people at ease. Mm-hmm. I would not walk into a room and just set my recorder down and say, hi, I'm Sherry Sinicki. I'm going to do this interview. That is not how I would roll. You know, I think that you are interviewing people that you have had interactions with before. Because is this your class, or is this the class ahead of you?
This is ours.
Okay, so you know them. So mm-hmm. Understand this is a incredibly great opportunity to hone those interview skills. I don't know how many of you have decided whether you're going qualitative or not, but this not that it's practice, but I kind of felt like going into it, it gave me some guidance when I went in to ask my participants for my dissertation. It's a safe zone. These people want you to succeed, as well as Scott. So understand that as well. And I think that's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
those were the pitfalls.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Others?
Oh, thanks, Scott, for putting my email up there.
Oh, perfect.
So maybe then I want to say one more thing with emphasis. You don't owe me anything. I just want to be very insistent that this is an opportunity we're doing together for all of us. So do what you can. Do it for your purposes as well as our purposes. Don't feel any special, obligation or loyalty to me. We all have lots of irons in the fire. So take care of yourself. And, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I'm going to let somebody down if I'm not a full participant in this. It's not true. You're not letting anyone down, and don't let yourself down by overcommitting either. So that's, I don't want to harp on this, but I just want to insist that this is not something you're doing for me. Do it for yourself. Do it for one another. I just kind of get the joy of kind of going along for the ride. So, okay, should we move on to the next topic, which is the game play?
Sure.
Sherry, you'll be really happy to know that 3 of our colleagues here are going to use game-based methodology in their courses this fall and next spring.
Awesome. That's great.
Jen is she's, I think, the first one up. She's doing a game in down at Corbin soon.
Yeah.
And I think Miranda is working on something for next semester, or is it this semester? I don't remember.
The class starts in the spring, so
Okay.
it would start in January and run probably through March.
Wow.
Alice also is considering using a game-based approach in a class she's teaching in the spring. I'm not sure if she's 100% on board with that, but I think Miranda is.
We're going to get you there.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I'm really, excited about it and looking forward. We had some conversation about this last time, and one of the things I just wanted to mention that Eric brought up that I was really intrigued with was this notion of what would happen if we moved the kind of the context away from kind of a typical kind of American school with various cultures and ethnicities interacting. What would happen if it was a fantasy environment?
Mhm.
And what would that do to encourage people's, I think, imagination around interacting with people who are different than them, than the current environment? And Eric, I'm telling you, I'm kind of playing around with this idea now for my own purposes. And I don't know if, I'm not asking to influence any of our colleagues here, but I'm intrigued with the idea, and I think there's some merit to it. So I'll keep you informed as I'm kind of thinking through this myself.
I think that's amazing. Eric, are you a gamer?
No, not really. I used to be when I was a kid. I played Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course you did, because it's the best.
Yeah. But I was just thinking about when I play a game, how much of that role is really me, and how much is it me trying to be not me. And to me, that's kind of, I feel like with a fantasy, I might be able to get into other aspects of my own personality and my feelings of empathy for others if I was totally removed from a situation that I'm familiar with. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm the teacher role. I should do this. And I feel like it might be more informative to be, the 7-legged alien, and you have no idea what your role is.
Right.
You just figure it out as you go.
I think that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking along those lines. Of it might be a more free-flowing expression of, what does it mean to play a role? What's our identity in that role? How do we empathize with people that are doing a certain thing or living a certain life? And, if they're forced down a certain path because of that role, maybe it's easier when we can't really relate to it at all. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I was thinking about it from the aspect, if you have a lot of participants, it also takes some of the pressure off the people playing, because everybody is different, and you don't have to make those judgment calls by we're just going to say like a human avatar. It'd be a different type of thing, and that changes the gameplay as well. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I think playing with that idea with a high school population would be very interesting.
Oh yeah,
and I'd love to have the opportunity to kind of test that out, but I don't have easy access to high school kids.
Yeah, but I do, so let's chat.
Okay. Golly, you're pretty good. Okay, so let's move to Jen's. Looks like Miranda has put dates, or Jen has put dates, and Miranda is committed. I think Miranda, you don't come from Newburgh though, do you? So that would not be, I mean, I couldn't tag along with you on a ride, maybe.
You could.
Okay. Well, I can stand, I get someone to drop me off on the highway out at the Brooks exit. Maybe you can pick me up on the way down.
No. On the 14th, I would be coming from curriculum committee, and on the 19th, I would be coming from whatever meeting we have on Tuesdays. So I will just pick you up at your office and we'll go.
Okay. Well, great.
You don't have to stand on the highway.
No hitchhiking. No hitchhiking.
I will check my calendar. If I'm available that day, I can go together.
Yeah, I'll check as well. And yeah,
I'll check.
So you could use either helpers or observers. Either way, what wouldn't bother you and your people?
It wouldn't bother me. I would be just so honored to have any of you come along. Like, that's really just like makes me feel very humbled and honored to say that you all would take time to help me out on this. So I'll take whoever, and it would be either game master or observer, depending. I do have some colleagues who have agreed to let me train them on what a game master would do. And for sustainability in the future, I want to take advantage of their willingness to be trained in this kind of thing, because I do hope to do it more than once. Cool. But I realized that I'm going to meet after our last meeting, when we talked about the benefit of having observers as well as game masters. I realized I was going to need double the help. So I will take whoever, and then as I start to finish kind of organizing this, I'll assign roles based on the greatest need for the people with the greatest amount of knowledge of the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Jen. So you have 3 dates here. Is that 3 times of the game, or you will spend the 3 days to play the game?
It's the 14th is one version of the game. The 19th is where I slightly change the rules and they play it again. Same game, but with slightly different rules, in order to see if that changes how they play the game. And then on the last date is actually the debriefing date, where we're going to sit and really, they will have done some debriefing online between the gameplay days, but then we're going to come together and really, I'm going to have some organized questions and then some discussion about what it kind of get the affective side of what it felt like in person, because that doesn't always translate on a forum post. So I want to do that affective debrief face-to-face on the last day. So there will be no gameplay on the 21st.
Okay, thank you. So on the 14th and the 19th, they are different players, right?
They will be playing the game, but the rules are going to change slightly. So the first game, they will not be able to share their empathy chips, so to speak. But on the second day, they can. On the second gameplay, they're open to whoever they feel is that they want to help, or if they feel somebody's in distress because they can't get out of a situation without some help, they're free to engage in that. But the first day, it'll be a little more individualized, not so they won't have the ability to share their own resources. So I'm just kind of playing with that, and as I go through, I'm working on revamping day 1 and day 2 game rules, and so those aren't done yet, so I'll have a better idea of how that will really look theoretically.
Got it. Thank you.
Closer to the end of the month.
Did we talk about sharing data for research purposes with you?
Yeah, I just need to connect with you. That was on my list of to-dos today, was connect with you to get the RIBs and to what you mentioned another form last meeting as well.
An informed consent.
Yeah.
You're just asking your students if they would allow for confidential or anonymous information that they shared to a broader group.
I just have to do a verbal on that?
No, it would be good to collect
Okay.
like either using like a Google form. I can help you draft one, or just a little handwritten thing or typed up that they can sign and give to you. And if they decline to participate, that's fine. You just can't use their stuff in the study.
Right, and I cannot imagine a single one of these particular students who are seniors. I've had them for several classes there. I can't imagine anybody disagreeing to do this. And now the RIB, what do I do for that?
You don't have to do anything.
Oh, okay.
In fact, this is kind of a fuzzy area for an IRB because previous cases have said that if it's a normal part of a class, in other words, if you're just collecting assessment data on a normal class activity and essentially reporting action research, there's really not an IRB concern.
Okay.
But I probably will do an addendum to my original IRB on this project to ask permission, just so in case anyone comes back later and said, I was offended that you used my words, that we can say, well, you agreed to do it, and we have your informed consent, and you were never identified. I don't want anyone to get in trouble about that, but you don't have to do anything. I may need just some dates or, like the name of your class or something. So yeah, we can connect via email on that.
Okay. Okay. So other than that, I'll just tell you where I am in development. And Jessica's offered to help me look at documents too. And she's really good at helping find my inconsistencies. So because she's on getting ready for that baby, she offered to help look at that. So I think that as I finish up making sure I like all of my character cards and making sure I'll have some double eyes on all of my documents, I'll also share them with all of you so you can see what it looks like. It's going to be, I'm taking our original templates from this summer and just then changing what needs to be changed for this. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'll be working on it in bits and pieces, obviously all through this month. And my goal is by the 1st of November to have it basically 100% done so that I can just begin to really study it and find anything, become to know it so well, and then make sure that I haven't missed anything. I'll have all of you look at it before I actually play it so we can take a look and see how I did.
Yeah, that's fine. And I would also advise you, don't stress out about controlling every detail, because in the moment you may modify a detail.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yep.
That's very true.
Okay, is that enough on that then for now?
Yeah, that's very helpful to me. Thanks for everybody. I appreciate it.
On the next item, which I forgot, but is this meeting I'm having on the 10th, which is next Thursday. This is this internet institutional group on empathy. I've got a person from Mount Allison College, which is in the Maritime provinces of Canada. I've got a person from Norfolk State University, which is a historically Black institution in Virginia. And I've got a person from University of Nevada, Las Vegas, who are all interested in employing game-based methods to foster empathy in their classes. One is teacher ed, one is sociology, and one is hospitality management. And I met them at a conference last fall. We've kept in touch. We tried to do an online Rockville thing with my Second Life-based project, and when I couldn't get funding to continue, that bombed and it's over. So I'm going to try to teach them how to use Rockville at a distance, and then we're going to collect data on that, and that's what that's about. And it looks like Miranda, is it, that's interested in joining that meeting next Thursday? So I'll include you on that Zoom invite, and we need to teach these people how to play Rockville by sending all the materials to them and having them build their own board and their own stuff. So excited about it. These are interesting folks who are doing different kinds of work, and they want to see how they can make it work. So that's all I have to say on that. So let's quickly, we're almost out of time, move to the ICCTE conference. Jen, what you're doing with your game would be a perfect proposal to submit. Do you think you or any of your colleagues at Corbin might be going to that conference next May?
Those are my usual dates when I'm in Africa. So I'm usually coming back the 22nd or the 23rd. Otherwise, I would be very interested, but I'm willing to write something with some guidance. I'm always willing to try something new. So I haven't ever written a proposal before, but I'd give it my best shot in doing something like that, because there is a small chance we are going to change our Africa dates to June, but I won't know that till January.
Okay.
So,
Scott, are you thinking that Jen, Alice, and I would all write one proposal about using gameplay in teacher education, or are you thinking in terms of like an innovative practices track, or are you thinking we would each write our own proposal?
Well, it could go either way. I think there's some strength in having all three of you either reflect as individuals about how the method worked, for an instructional device, or how the method worked and accomplished the objective of building, whatever it is you're using it for. If you're trying to build a greater capacity for your students to have empathy for people who are different than them, or develop some cultural humility, or, whatever it is, especially within the Christian context, which is this group. And although it doesn't have to be overtly about, faith development or faith issues, but I think they're all interested in how do we help our young teacher ed candidates who are fairly homogenous, I think, at our institutions. They're, female, they're middle class, they're rural, suburban, they're evangelical Christian. I mean, I know that's just kind of a generalization, but it's like, how do you help them learn how to work with people who are different than they are? And it's an important topic across the board for Christian colleges and universities. So I think it would be very interesting for the three of you to put in a proposal together. I could certainly help. We could plan a half-hour planning meeting on Zoom, and we could write the proposal at that time. I can share one I've done with you as a template, and we could wrap that up in 45 minutes and get it sent off. With a very high probability it would be accepted, and really, if only one of you could be at that conference to present, nice add to your CV, and all three of you would get credit for it.
Yeah, I'm very interested in doing that.
Okay. So do you want me to take the lead on organizing that meeting, or do one of you want to do that?
I'll send an email. I'll check in with Jen and Alice about their schedules and send an email with some times, and hopefully one will work for you, Scott.
Okay. I have nothing else to do, so.
Right.
Well, you don't believe that?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I just don't.
I'm so embedded within the bureaucracy here, as I have an office and people think I work, but I just occupy space.
You just play games all by yourself in your
all
office.
gaming all the time.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Well, that takes care of that. Thank you for volunteering to do that, Miranda. I'm not going to note that. I think that comes down to anything else then. Anything else in the last 5 minutes we have?
I just have a question, just as I'm new to this, your potential interview questions is, which are great, by the way, I do enjoy them. Are these I think you need to, this is my own opinion, I think you need to, I love that you have, what's your definition of empathy? Rephrase, I should not assume. These are not the order you're asking these questions, or is this like a little brain dump for your questions?
It's brain dump.
Perfect, because that's the only thing I was going to talk about is the order in which you ask them. that was one thing that I didn't talk about when you were talking about that. Really look at the flow of your questions and what you need to know first.
Thank you, Sherry. And thank you. I think I'll just speak for the group. Your leadership is invaluable, and I'm so appreciate you joining. And I think any kind of guidance like that is just going to be helpful to all of us. So
I hope so.
Are we going to use these questions for interview?
I would say, go ahead.
I mean, the list of the questions. So when we interview our cohort members, will we use all of these questions, or we will refine them or something like that?
I say refine them in an order and a number that makes sense to your group and go for it.
Okay. And one more question is about the interview. So we have 40 members in our cohort. So 3 of us will have the interview. Should we divide into a group, or, for example, Jen is going to interview Miranda and I'm going to interview Miranda? That will be a problem. So
No.
should we divide them into groups or something like that?
Yes. Jen was suggesting that she would like to interview a few people personally that are near her because she wants the experience. My suggestion was there could be some people you could group and do as a focus group on Zoom and do 3 or 4 at one time, where 1 or 2 of you could practice interviewing in that way. So there's various ways you could do it, Alice. There's no one right way, but I think it's a combination of what experience do you want to have with what is convenient to do. And I will leave it up.
I have never used the Zoom. I don't know how to use that, but I can learn. And also, yeah, maybe I would like to interview some of them in person.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good practice because I have never done that before. So I really want to learn how to do it.
Well, there you go. So then I think that helps decide who's going to interview whom. It's like, yeah. Alice, you can say, hey, here's 2 people I'd like to connect with. And Jen's going to say, here's 4 I want to connect with. And then you've got, 7 left. And you say, okay, of those 7, can we group them into 2 or 1 Zoom interview? And there you go. Maybe Eric wants to interview a person individually as well. And as does Megan. So I think that's the first thing you decide is, do I want the practice of interviewing someone individually? Sherry, shared the device or the application she used on her phone. I've got that on my phone as well. It's easy to use. For those of you that aren't old, you won't recognize the fact that it looks like an old cassette tape player.
Hey, I recognize that. Be careful,
all
mister.
recognize that. So let's just put that out there.
Okay, well, then maybe you're older than I thought you were.
I'm taking that as a compliment.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think just do it by email or whatever. Just the 5 of you decide how you want to do that. And I would just suggest you don't even have to fill it in on this form, but you can use some way of keeping track of who's doing whom and how. And I would just say get it done by the end of October.
And so maybe just because I feel like if I walk away with my task at hand, I'm going to do a little bit better. If we all, whoever wants to do an individual, if we just come into here and kind of claim a couple of individual opportunities, then we can meet together and refine the questions and do all of that. But at least we'll kind of have an idea of what our groupings are going to look like. Because I'm just thinking schedule-wise and stuff, I want to know who I need to get in contact with, and then I'll know when I need those questions ready. And does that make sense? Like, I'm sort of looking for a linear process to get this organized. So maybe if we do claim our individuals in here, and then we, one of us can just start the email of, hey, let's get together and refine the questions and be ready to go in the next, 7 to 10 business days, but probably 5 business days would be awesome. Because it's already October.
Well, you already said you had some people local to you that you were interested in. Why don't we put them in right now?
I will do that.
Okay. All right. Next item, should we plan a meeting like at the end of October before Jen's game, so we can have one more and maybe a group meeting, not a meeting of the game group or a meeting of the interview group. Saturday morning, 8:15, about a month from now.
Yes, that'd be perfect.
Let's see.
That's the 2nd of November.
Yeah, and the 2nd of November. I think the 3rd of November, I'm going to New Orleans. Okay, I will agree to the 2nd, and we'll just put it in as a placeholder here.
I have class at the Portland Center on November 2nd, so that means you can sign me up for things and I'll just be obligated to do them.
I love working
I
with
just
wow.
have to get through October, you guys, and then I can be back fully engaged with this process. I think most of you know I'm currently teaching 19 credits and taking 6, and October just exploded for me. So once I get through October, some things will end and things will fade off and it'll all be fine. So you guys just sign me up for whatever you need.
You need to snort some lavender.
That's not where I thought that conversation was going. Okay. No, what you need to learn is the
There
word
you go.
no. Oh, girl, what you need to learn is boundaries and no. Which is super hard for all of us.
Well, thank you all. Talking about boundaries, we're 3 minutes over time, so let's.
I just want to put out there real quick, if you guys want to debrief after your interviews, just let me know. I would be happy to do that and talk out what went well and what didn't. That was another step that was really, really helpful. So
Great. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if you've got a chance to drop a note to Karen and to Jessica, just let them know that you care for them. I think they're both carrying pretty heavy loads right now, inside and out. So thanks to all. Eric, enjoy your coffee.
I'm ready for a refill.
Yeah, I am too. Okay.
Oh, and Jen, I wanted to say that I'd love to be a part of an in-person focus group if you could pull that off, because I feel like that would be, for me, it'd be just helpful to remember in a communal context, like go back and think about the game and share stories about the game before we kind of dig in and mine some of people's experiences. I would love to be part of that.
Great idea.
I think that'd be great. And because you're down here at Chemeketa, we could probably work it where you're already in town.
Yeah. Salem's close enough for me anywhere around here.
Someday. I'm thinking because with like Scott and Jessica are both around. So.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that enough?
All righty. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah. Blessings to you all. I'll mount this recording somewhere so people can get to it. Maybe not right this moment, but soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.